Hey there, folks. Welcome back to another video. Today we are starting our part 2 for our Daredevil Born Again Season 2 custom. So, again, like I said before, if you're going with a clean look, which I'm sure the season is going to start off with, then this is all that you need. And I've seen a couple of people on Instagram already do just a couple of the nicks and scratches that we've seen on some of the older set photos, some of the first set photos that we had seen. But as you know, as time went on, some of the other ones that we had gotten, some of the other ones that had surfaced had a lot more wear and tear on the outfit. That is personally what I'm more interested in. Now, as you can see, if you watched the previous video, I didn't fully paint the mask. That's not because this is a specific pattern. That's just because I was trying to get that video done and over with. I wanted to get it uploaded by a certain time. So just ignore that for right now. Imagine that this is all black and then we're going to go in and add the necessary details. But as far as the suit goes, I'll throw up a picture here and there. I'm going to try to make this video mostly a time lapse so it's not super long. Just kind of showing you the process. It's not really anything that really needs to be spoken about. We're just going to go in and we're going to add the certain silver details that need to be added. Not all of them can be seen from what it looks like. It seems like these silver areas right here are all noticeable in the image that I'm looking at, but then like the D's on the belt are still a little faded and stuff, but there's a whole lot of red throughout this portion of the arm and then a little bit here and there. So that's kind of just what we're trying to replicate. I really like this look where it's mostly worn. The other thing is I don't remember if I mentioned this in the previous video. The reason I'm kind of going for that is because I feel like if Hasbro does figures for Season 2, they're most likely going to just do a black version of this. I feel like it's a lot easier for them to do that. So if I do the worn version and I buy the official figure, I don't think there's going to be much crossover there. I don't think it's as likely that Hasbro will go through and do the worn version. And if they do, it probably won't be as severe as this one anyway. So that's sort of my thought process. So the color red that I use for the eyes and the logo here, the logo needs a little bit more touch-ups as well. But we're just going to pretend that that's done for right now, too. It's not really anything that's important. I mean, you guys don't really need to see me paint a D. Also, I wouldn't be able to do it on camera anyway. But if you guys want to know the color that I used, it's lipstick red, this enamels. It's not actually enamel paint. It's still acrylic, but it's just the brand. I use this for the eyes and the logo here. I really like this color, but in terms of the red of the suit, we still want it to be somewhat close to this. Hasbro actually picked a pretty close color, at least for the base of what we see here. There's some scenes in Season 1 where this suit looks really, really bright. Like the behind-the-scenes images, the suit looks extremely bright. Even the Hot Toys figure looks super bright. So I'm starting to believe that there's kind of like two suits, because there's some set photos with Bullseye where this just looks black and red, and it's a very bright red, and that's what the Hot Toys looks like. And then the set photos with him and John Bernthal, the suit looks like this. So I don't know. But anyway, we're going to go with a red color that's closer to this. So the red color that I've chosen is Flamingo Red. Again, this is just acrylic paint. I know, not a lot of people are with that. If you got a specific brand that you like to use, something that's for models or something like that, that's great. You can use that. We're not doing anything too severe where I think it's going to be a problem. Everything is basically on surface areas. It's not going to be near joints, really. I mean, maybe an area right here, but if we're intricate, we can probably avoid that with it still being accurate. But, yeah, so I think that's pretty much all the information we need to go through, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. So, let's go. Alrighty, so I'm pretty sure that the phone is on low battery right now, so we might have to call it a quits with the recording. This is where we're at. We got a couple of different clips right here, but I'm sure it won't add up to too much time. I've basically just been marking out all of the things that I see in these pictures. And then I'm going to go in later, because I can't really do it in this position right here. I'm going to go in later and try to make them look a little bit more natural and give them a little bit more fraying edges and stuff like that. And obviously build up the opacity. Although there is some areas where you can still see some of the black fade, and I'll show up a picture to kind of show what I'm getting at. I don't necessarily want there to be solid red through everything. I want there to be a little bit of black in some spots because it just looks more like paint is being worn. However, I think once we get the basic shape down, one of the things that I want to add is to go through the edges with my licorice color. It might be too strong. Maybe the gloss black isn't as strong, I've noticed. So maybe go through with the gloss black and edge up all of these lines. Because when I'm looking at these images where the black meets the red areas, that's where I'm seeing the most shine. So I think that's something that'll make this pop a lot more, and it'll help give the illusion that this is kind of a raised layer. I mean, it's not really a raised layer, it's just paint. But, you know, maybe it'll help give it a little bit of depth and make it look like the red is underneath the black. So, yeah, I mean, as far as getting all the details done, it's going to be hard to do this on camera. So I'm going to try to get what I can next time I film. The other thing is obviously we're just looking at set photos right now. So I don't know what's in chronological order. So right now I only have an image where I can see a little bit of his back right here. And I notice there's a spot right here on the hip and then a spot right here in the back. The problem is I don't have anything else on the back. So if I find pictures where stuff is, where I can have something that I can actually go with, I don't know if that's before or after. So like, as you can see here, this is pretty severe wear. If I put something down, I don't know if it's going to be from the same scene or not. So we're kind of have to go with a level of imagination here, I suppose. I can only get so much of it accurate without having like a 3D, a 360 view. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I don't think anybody cares that much. I mean, we're just doing paint wear marks. But if I can get it as accurate as possible, I'm going to try to do that. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I think we're just going to hold off here, and I might try to do some of this on my own just to edge this up a little bit, and then we'll come back to the next important spot. Stay tuned. Alrighty, so I went through and I did some more of the red, and I'm going to go ahead and say that it's done for now, except for that mask. The mask needs some more work. Every new picture that I see, there's like more and more red wear. So this is kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier with the continuity sort of thing. I'm going to just kind of stick with this for right now until, unless I change my mind. But yeah, so it's a little bit thin in some areas. Like you can see that right there. That kind of goes back to what I was saying with trying to make it look like some of the black paint on top is still there. Hopefully, you know, by the end, that gives more of an illusion of the thin black layer still being on top in some areas, as opposed to just making it look like the red is thin, if that makes any sense. I can't get this to focus. I don't know why. But, yeah, so what we're going to go through and do now is we're going to go through with the licorice color. And if you don't have this color, then you can just use gloss black. And we're going to go through and outline these, the wear marks. Now, if you want to avoid making it look super cheesy, you can kind of pick it up in some spots and then stop, and then pick it up in some other spots. That way it doesn't look like a consistent outline. That's probably the approach that I'm going to take, although in the photos it does kind of look like a specific line. But it's really easy to make something look like, something like that look cheesy, I would imagine. So we're going to try to be a little bit light with it at first. The mask, we're going to take a look at that separately, because when I'm looking at the pictures, it looks like the red on the actual mask is closer to this red than it is this red, which makes sense. It's a different material. So when I go back through and I matte or I coat this, I want this to have some of that shine too, because it's made out of the same material as this. So I want it to have that, you know, reflective quality in some areas. I don't know how that's going to affect the color, so I'm going to wait off on doing anything for this until I know what that looks like. So that's pretty much it right now. We're just going to go through and do that, and then we got some of the, you know, just some of the other things out of the way that I was thinking. So yeah. Alrighty, guys, here we are. I'm probably going to go ahead and say that we're going to call this done for now, at least for the sake of the video. I'm going to go ahead and upload a separate video kind of, you know, giving a showcase of it properly, just one where I can spend a little bit more time on it. But you can see right here we have different kind of shades of the, well, not different shades, but different kind of opacities of the red. This one's a little bit more faint in some areas and stuff like that. And I did go through and add this color throughout just to vibrant it up a little bit, just watered down. But yeah, I am liking it a lot. One of the things that I did was I went in and lightened the beard. I was contemplating on completely getting rid of it and painting it again, or trying to figure out how to lighten it. So I kind of just gave it a wash with a lighter skin tone color. It's called Sun-Kissed Peach, and it was relatively close to the skin tone that they use, and just give you a little bit of a comparison. Here it is compared to a stock figure, and you can see it just appears just a slightly bit lighter because he's got a little bit of a shorter beard, and I add some of the blood in there. And yeah, one of my problems that I'm having with it right now is it's just a little bit too shiny. I don't have a proper matte coat. I'm seeing a lot of people use the, I'm forgetting what it's called now, but there's a good matte coat that's out right now, and a lot of people are using it for their customs, and I definitely want to try that. Everything that I ever get that says matte coat is never a matte coat. So possibly down the line, I might spray this with a proper matte coat and then go through and highlight these areas again with the licorice just to try to get a better contrast. Because, like, there is a slight contrast in person and on camera, but and also the camera's making this figure look a lot more shiny than it is, so keep that in mind. But it's just not as good as much as I'd like it. And also, you know, even if something's supposed to be kind of shiny, like a Venom figure, even in figure form, it kind of still just kind of makes it look cheap. At least it's all uniform for the most part, which is more than you can say for most Marvel Legends out of the box. They kind of have varying degrees of, you know, finishes. So yeah. Another thing that I want to mention real quick is I did go through and do the silver. I hope I picked that up on camera. I think I did. Just this is where it's the strongest. I just did a little hint of it there and there. I mucked up the boots a little bit just to try to pick up as much detail as I could. And the other thing is here are the stock billy clubs. And for some reason, I didn't notice this at first, but I went through my my set photos when I was, you know, kind of looking for pictures of my custom Punisher that I'm working on. And I noticed when he's wearing this suit that these aren't the accurate billy clubs. They're actually all red. And just the ends here are black. and or kind of like a grayish black color. Kind of depends on what you want to see, I suppose. But even the Hot Toys is the correct color. And I went back and looked at the renders that they had posted of this figure back in April or whatever it was, and they had the right color there. So I'm not too sure why they went with this. So that's an easy problem to solve. You know, you just go ahead and you change the color and you paint it up. But the other problem is I forgot to mention in my review, these billy clubs are not supposed to be the same length. So this one right here has the middle piece on it. So this one should be longer. That's the way that the MCU's Daredevil billy clubs work. So like, let's say that this is the side that the cable connects to, right? So you push this button and that's where the cable connects. And if you push this button again, it locks it. And then you push this button and these two pieces break apart. Obviously you can't do that with the billy clubs because it's, you know, just a little toy. But I wanted to try to replicate that look a little bit better. So I went ahead and I did this. And I shortened them like they're supposed to be. And if you're wondering how I did that, it was a little bit of a scary thing because I almost messed it up. But I just went ahead and I lined these up the way that they were. And I cut off this much. So I cut off the silver end, and then I cut off the... You can see it's at a slight angle, it's not perfect. But I cut off the other end. And these were going to be used for this. But I figured if I was going to use them for this one, I should dye them first. And now I already cut it, so it's going to be a little bit harder to dye these. The glue will probably fall apart. So I'll probably just take these ones and dye these ones and then do the same thing I did to these to make them the correct size. So I just wanted to go ahead and mention that real quick for anybody who's interested. So these are what they're supposed to look like. This is the size that they're supposed to have. And that just makes them a little bit more accurate. So if you're willing to do that, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to have a couple of more of these Daredevil customs that I'm working on, so I might actually do it in a video so you can see. But you can see that difference right there. The difference should be that middle notch. I mean, if I zoom in here, you can see the rings. So you got the one middle piece, a ring, a middle piece, a ring, and then you got that ring. So that's where it should be split in two, is where those two rings meet. So yeah, not a huge deal. And like I said, I almost messed it up, so it's probably not worth the stress that it takes. But I have these two right here, and I have a couple more. So I have these two, and you can't see them. I have these two, and then I just got these two from the Target website here today. Obviously this one's the Shadowland look, and I could do another one that's all full black. That's not really a part of the plans right now, because obviously they're going to do a season 2 version, and I'm positive they're going to do the full black version. They might do this where they do more weathering, but I'm not too sure. But as of right now, I have these something in mind for these. I still have one on pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store. I haven't really decided if I'm going to cancel that yet, but the plan is to keep one in box, just like that Punisher. And then I want to repaint one to make it more accurate to Season 1. And then I want to battle damage another to make it look like the fight with Bullseye. And if you look at the set photos for Season 1, it looks like the suit changes a little bit. Like you see some of the photos where it looks more like this, where it's got this darker red and this secondary color throughout the suit. Well, this differing black color, this grayish color. And then you look at the Hot Toys figure, and that has a bright red with just one solid black. And there are some set photos where it looks like that. Obviously, cameras and lighting, all that sort of changes how that looks. But I think that's pretty interesting. I would like to go with both looks because it's kind of hard to tell which one's actually the correct color of the suit. But I want to keep one in box and do those two things. And then if I have the one coming in from Big Bad Toy Store, then I have one that's stock. So I don't know if I want to... That would get me at 5. I don't know if I want to do another one just to make it the all-black version. Because I'm going to be buying the Season 2 figures as well. So that's probably something I'll just hold off for now. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That is the process that it took to get this to be the Season 2 look. Like I said, there's a few touch-ups I want to, I got to finish the billy clubs, and then I want to get this to be slightly more matte, and then also, I don't know, maybe just some touch-ups here and there, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me give you one more kind of solid look with the simpler looking background. Just give a little bit of a look. There's some blood in there. I never really have too much good luck with blood, but this time I was just kind of winging it, and I used the colors that I used for the rest of the figure. I just used some lipstick, and then I added some the licorice color in there just to kind of deepen it a little bit, and it kind of worked out pretty well for the most part. I might go through and touch up it again, but yeah, so that's the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 weathered Shadowland suit. So yeah, guys, if you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell. All that would be greatly appreciated if you decide to do so. And of course, until next time, true believers.